current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show. Top 11 places to live in Florida coming up in just a moment here. We've got Robert Paredes in studio, Fluxx Funding, mortgage expert contributor. If you need a pre-approval, cash out refi, any types of financing, we'd urge you to reach out to the hotline 727-263-3707. Call or text 727-263-3707 and online at consumerqb.com. A couple of hot listings here. 5470 Panama Avenue. This is one of our newer listings. This is a nice family home here, single family home with a pool, 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2163 square feet on Panama Avenue. Beautiful pool. And just a great neighborhood as well. Vaulted ceiling, spacious bedrooms, kitchen with an island, double pantries. Panama Avenue in Spring Hill, one of our Pasco County, Hernando County listings here from the Consumer Quarterback Show team. 2817 Gulf City Road in Ruskin. We've got 23 acres for sale on the Little Manatee River. Buy some dirt and build beautiful townhomes, apartments. Could build condos there, maybe design and create a RV type resort or park. 23 acres on the Little Manatee River, direct access to the Gulf of Mexico. 2817 Gulf City Road in Ruskin, Florida. You can see all of our listings online. PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
Buy dirt, find one you can't live without.
All right, Robert Paredes, welcome back, sir.
Hi, how's it going, Brandon? How are you?
Blessed and highly favored, man. And yourself?
Hanging in there. Tough last week on mortgages and so on, but I powered through it a little bit. So.
Yeah, that leads us right into the interest rate conversation. How are we looking on current
how
rates?
fun. Actually, they went up a little, probably about another quarter point, I'd say. So we're above about 7% interest rate.
Okay.
But they continue to say it's going to be going down, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, renting sucks no matter what, right? Even if the rates are at 15%, paying $3,000 for a 2-bedroom is still horrible. So you got to buy.
Yeah, exactly. Get into home ownership if you're not already doing it. And the Federal Reserve keeps continuing to make missteps in my approximation there, and they put us into this position where we are where we are here, but really 7% is not that bad a rate anyway.
No, it really isn't. I mean, I'm much older than you are, and I remember in the mid 80s or early 80s, 18% for a house, man.
Yeah,
18% for a house. It's a credit card payment for your house.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and then you think about that word amortization, right? To die slow. The Latin root, I guess, means to die slow, right?
Correct.
So you have all this interest up front, and then you're paying a little bit of principal on the beginning of these 30-year mortgages.
Correct. Yeah. Typically, you pay most of all your interest probably the first 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, and they stack it that way on purpose.
That's it. The bankers always make money.
Yeah, there you go. But why don't you describe too, because you have a unique setup where you're able to shop and find better programs.
Yeah, so I'm a mortgage broker. So a way to kind of think of it is if you're trying to get car insurance, if you go with the big car insurances such as, let's say, Progressive, USAA, State Farm, Farmers, they have one product and one product only to sell.
Yep.
But if you go to an independent insurance company,
yep,
they've got maybe 4 or 5 or 50 or 60 different insurance companies that can give you the best deal. And of course, they pass on to you as well.
Yeah,
so,
Top
that's
Quote
what
Insurance is who we work with. Brian Lewis and his team, they do a great job with that shopping.
Yeah, and plus also each borrower's completely different. And so I say about a third of my business are self-employed borrowers or 1099s that can't prove their income.
Yeah.
And so I have an outlet for that as well. If they have enough down payment, definitely I can help them.
Yeah.
Do a ton of those, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of different types of programs. We're going to get into those, too. Number 2 on your list today was seller comp lawsuit.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard anything about that. And I'm just paraphrasing, and I'm going off my bad memory, but I saw an article last week to where somewhere up north, I wasn't sure if it was New York or whatever, that they sued the MLS and also NAR, National Association of Realtors, to where, hey, maybe the seller now is not going to be paying any of the commissions, and it should come from, let's say, the lender or maybe the borrower needs to pay for it. Did you see anything at all about that?
Well, you know, this
or did I read it wrong?
No, well, I don't know if there's a new one, but I know there was an older story that I came across and I had talked about on this show, which was, I think this last time it was in Chicago, if I remember my memory,
right,
from a year and a half, couple years ago. But yeah, you know, so it goes to the old paradigm of, I think a lot of times buyers and sellers, you know, both really don't understand the way that real estate works and the way it flows. When you're selling an asset, let's just say a residential home, commercial building, you know, the proceeds of the sale is what's going to fund the deal as far as commissions go.
Correct.
Now, it makes sense when you think about it the way, well, the seller says, well, why do I have to pay both sides of the commission? Well, what you're paying for is you're paying for the exposure, the MLS, all of that syndication. And nowadays, of course, it goes to all the major sites as well.
Right.
So you're paying on that, and you're offering a co-broker fee. So that 3% that goes to the buyer side agent, you know, that's for a purpose. The purpose is to have your property accessed on the MLS,
right,
and then to attract as many potential prospective buyers as possible.
Correct. Yeah, it makes more sense to me. So
yeah.
Oh, okay. All
but
right,
of course, you turn it over to, you know, attorney. You can find an attorney that's going to sue for anything, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, my buyers shouldn't have to pay. Well, don't participate in the MLS program then.
Right. Yeah. Good luck with that, right?
Yeah. And that's what I talk to for sale by owners about, Robert. When I'm talking to for sale by owners, they don't understand that by going for sale by owner, you're basically alienating 90+% of the market, because you're trying to save a couple nickels over here and save some commission, but you're first it starts with 9 out of 10 buyers start their search with a real estate agent.
Correct.
Why? Because they know on the buy side I don't have to pay a commission.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So then it just kind of flows from there. And then so if you're going for sell by owner, you're saying, oh well, I put it on this one site that starts with a Z. Well, you're still not getting everybody,
right?
You know, because buyer agents, co-brokers, we call them selling agents as well. They don't want to show a for sale by owner property.
Right.
Because they're nervous about getting paid. Oh, well, I'll pay you 2%. No, we want 3%. Or, you know, so it gets in that whole dynamic. But yeah, I've heard that lawsuit too before.
Yeah, so it actually was adjudicated. And so the plaintiffs actually won it. But I don't think you're going to have a worst case scenario. I think in Florida, you're going to have a ton of pushback on that.
That's going to get appealed. It's going to get overturned. I don't think that's going to stick. It's ridiculous. Because if not, again, what is the alternative?
Correct.
You know, the system we have is, you know, of course, it's not perfect,
but it works.
It's the best we have for now. Yeah. The real gripe should be the Realtor Association against the big Z word company, because that company is taking our data as realtors that we own as Keller Williams, Remax, Coldwell Banker.
Right.
You know, they're taking our information, our data, our assets.
That's right.
And then turning around and syndicating it, selling the leads to all these different, you know, whoever wants to pay the highest dollar for each percentage of you know, I used to buy those leads, and I stopped doing it years ago.
I tell you what, if you're not spending a ton of money on that, you're not even in the game. So I've already stopped doing that as well.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, you know. And then because what happens is, especially on the listing side, I would get calls from prospective buyers. Hey, calling about 555 Banana Street,
right?
And you know, the conversation goes on, and they say, "Oh, well, you're not the listing agent." No, but I represent that zip code. I can help you. This is my area. Click.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk to you unless you're the listing agent because of the perceived value.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Interesting. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, good stuff. Robert Paredes here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Fluxx Funding is his company, and he can definitely help you with that. But yeah, that's a good story. I like that. That's very interesting. Now, outside of the traditional, you know, purchases, the refinanced loans, you also have these loans called construction to perm. And I actually like that idea right now, because in this market, you know, hey, buy some vacant land, buy some dirt, build a house, build your dream home, build it the way you want. Yeah, it might take you 6 months, a year or more, but you have a construction to perm.
And you know, make a really good point, because right now inventory it's really tough, right? And if you're looking to move pretty quickly and there's nothing out there, you're pretty much stuck with the builders as well. Now, the cool thing about the construction to perm loan is that I can do a VA construction to perm loan with no money down.
Yeah.
I can do an FHA construction with 3.5% down, just like a normal loan.
Yeah.
And with the normal minimum down payment, but the construction to perm, to your point. So if you see a piece of land that you like, and you have a builder that you want to work with as well, I can do those loans for you. And here's the best part, especially on the realtor's part, is what we call a one-time closing. So typically, if you go to a builder, if that property doesn't get finalized, let's say a year down the road, you don't get your commission until a year, correct?
Right.
Right. Well, in this situation with me, it's what we call one-time closing, to where if we close on a house today, everybody gets paid, including the realtor, whether or not it gets done a year, 6 months, a year and a half from now. One-time closing up front. So I'm doing a lot of those right now.
That's interesting.
So for you realtors and buyers out there, that's a tough find anything. If you find a piece of land, definitely reach out to me, because you don't need to put 20-30% down. You can do the normal down payment you normally would.
Wow.
And the realtors get paid up front.
Wow, that's interesting. I've got follow-up questions to that, but
Sure.
I don't know if we want them on air or not. But it's basically, when you think about, the one-time close and the commission gets paid up front, that's a huge advantage.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah, just wondering, like, how does that fund, or how does that?
Well, our investor does pay for the commissions up front also, through the builder as well.
Got
so
it.
yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So it's a great incentive. So.
Really is. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that idea. We're talking with Robert Paredes, Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. He's also a military veteran, and of course can help all those vets out there too.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I was an Army vet as well, and so I was an Air Force brat for 30 years, so I enjoyed every minute of it as well. So
that's awesome, man.
Glad to serve, definitely.
Yeah, amazing. So talk to me about these rehab loans. What do you mean by a rehab loan?
A rehab loan is, let's say, for instance, you've got that, you're a buyer, right, and you want to be in a certain zip code, because let's say let's talk about South Tampa, right? Everybody wants to be in South Tampa, Plant High School District.
Yep.
But it's tough to find anything there, right?
Yep.
Especially in your price range and so on. But if you find a piece of property that maybe needs quite a bit of rehab, whether it's a tear down all the way down to the foundation, or maybe it needs a room added or a bathroom or whatever, I do those rehab loans as well.
Okay.
So what happens is, if you let's use $100,000 for ease of math. So if you find a property for $100,000 and you want to borrow $35,000 or $50,000 or $60,000 to add a pool or a new roof or whatever, we'll go off the after repair value.
Yeah.
To figure out how much down payment you're going to put and how much we're going to lend for you as well.
Nice. Yeah, go off that ARV. That makes sense, because you're able to say, hey, look, as an investor, from an investor standpoint, that makes sense, because you know that once these improvements are made, added the kitchen, added the bath, those improvements are made. Now you've got you're adding value there, so you're able to count on that as your appraised value, your after repair value.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So it's I'm seeing quite a bit more of those as well, because again, there's no inventory out there. It's really tough right now.
Yep.
And so borrowers are trying to be as creative as they can as well. So.
And realtors are as well. And I've got a company too that we just recently started working more with, a company that has a system where on the seller side, I work with 90% sellers, 99% sellers. When you think about the listing side, so if you have a listing that needs a couple things here or there, and you don't have that buyer engaged yet. What Robert was just describing, that's the buyer's engaged, and he can do a renovation/rehab loan.
Correct.
What I'm talking about too, is another option would be on the sell side, on the listing side. We have a company that will go in and do some remodel, and then they will actually not get paid until closing. They have a system where they get paid at closing.
Now, wait a minute. Is he a contributor in this at your radio show
Soon
also?
to be, yeah. The company is Free Model, and Jen is going to be joining the team as a expert contributor. Yeah, it's a pretty cool program. And
that is a cool program,
right?
Yeah, I see a lot of folks that say, hey, you know what? The seller doesn't have any money, and we need to get this roof done.
Yep.
So instead of getting a rehab program, because it is quite a bit more expensive, the rate's maybe about 0.5% higher.
Yep.
That saves everybody money as well, as long as they get paid at closing. Who cares, right? The seller
exactly.
pay for it.
Yep. And the contractors are quality. Everything is planned out. She actually had a pretty good idea on one of the floor plans I had with one of my listings. She said, hey, if we were to take away or maybe minimize this, I think it was like a laundry room or an extra closet, and we could add another bathroom to this house. Like there was some really cool things you can do, especially if it's a non-load bearing wall.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, as that company, you're gonna attach a lien anyway,
Exactly.
so you're gonna get paid anyway at closing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so that's actually a really great idea.
Yeah, it's a great program. I really like that. Let's take a quick break there. More with Robert Paredes when we come back. Fluxx Funding, all things mortgage. We'd love for you to support the program by supporting Robert and his company, and of course supporting the local economy by supporting the local team here. 727-263-3707, 727-263-3707. ConsumerQB.com. Top 11 places to live in Florida when we come back. Consumer Quarterback Show. consumerqb.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show in studio with Robert Paredes, Fluxx Funding. And before we talk about the top 11 places to live in Florida, we're going to touch on just a couple of hot listings here that we have from our team here. We've got a $13 million land parcel, Pebble Creek in Orlando. This is a co-listing that we've got with our friends over the Meraki Group over in Orlando. This Keller Williams in Orlando. Pebble Creek, $13 million, 100 acres, prime development opportunity, excellent location for a short-term rental community. Close to Disney World, Universal, SeaWorld, downtown, and more. 100 acres for sale. Great opportunity for development. Pebble Creek Court, Four Corners, Florida, which is right outside of Orlando. Orange and Osceola County, one of our hot listings from the Platinum MVP team. All right, we also have another property here, 861 Mandalay Avenue, Clearwater Beach. $1 million listing on the north side of Clearwater Beach. You're surrounded by celebrities here as well. I think Hulk Hogan still lives there, and founder of Spanx and some other celebrities out there as well. 861 Mandalay Avenue, Clearwater Beach. 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, sleek quartz countertops, gorgeous stainless steel appliances. You got a beautiful property with jetted tub, full shower, elegant vanities, charming pergola, 900 square foot screen porch as well. Steps away, about 200 steps away from the sugar sand beaches and dolphin-filled waters of Clearwater Beach. You can see all of our listings online at platinumcoastalelite.com. All right, Robert, are we ready for the top 11 places to live in Florida?
Yeah, man. I wonder how Tampa gets in that list, right?
Tampa's there. Tampa's there, man.
Shocking.
Yeah. So you got the best cities to live in the state of Florida. No wonder why people are asking, what's the best places to live in Florida? Whether you consider there are over 1,000 people a day moved to Florida. We had net 319,000 last year, number 1 in the country.
I think all of them went to Tampa, didn't they? A lot of them, that traffic.
If you get on that traffic,
oh, my
I-4
goodness.
to Orlando this past weekend, we went on a Carnival cruise.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. It was just like, get me home. Okay, here we go. So, yes, of course, we're known for the weather, the abundant golf courses, pristine beaches. So moving to Florida is an appealing option for many. So here we go. Top 10. Let's start at number 11, Cape Coral. Fort Myers. Number 10, Fort Myers. 9 is Orlando. 8, Pensacola. Number 7 on the list is Tampa.
7.
7.
There were 6 that beat us?
There's 6, but there's all these different ones, all these different studies or surveys. Jacksonville, number 6, which I don't particularly like a whole lot, Jacksonville. Fort Lauderdale, number 5. Miami, number 4, which, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, a lot of times you're going to both. You're going to a football game, you're going to the beach or whatever. All right, so now we're in the top 3. Melbourne, Florida. Pretty nice little town from what I hear. Sarasota, number 2.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Over by that
Siesta
Lakewood
Key.
Ranch area, Siesta Key. Yeah,
Yep.
it's nice out there.
Yep, I've been taking some listings down there too. I love that area. And Sarasota, you got the Ritz-Carlton down there too. Naples, number 1.
Have you ever been? Have you seen the home prices in Naples?
Yeah.
And you and I do pretty well, but we're nowhere near that price point, man.
Those I used to live in Naples at one point. I kind of got my career started when I graduated from Florida Gulf Coast University. I went to work at the Ritz-Carlton as a personal trainer, fitness manager, and it was just a great place to work and live and play. It was fun. It was a nice little town and. But yeah, I mean, because think about it. If you live in Naples, you're right across Alligator Alley to Miami,
right?
And you're 2 hours up the road. You got Tampa, and of course Disney's right there too. That's Orlando's there. So yeah, there's your top 11 places to live in the state of Florida. There's another article I've got here too, Robert. Want to get your opinion. Gig economy still expanding. So the gig economy has only gotten bigger since the pandemic. News research shows a trend that may be helping to hold down the unemployment rate in applications for benefits. Tax forms used to report income from freelance work show the number of Americans on platforms such as Uber, DoorDash, etc. More than tripling from 2017 to 2021, almost 5 million, according to a paper published by the University of Chicago.
Very interesting. So here's what I'm seeing on the mortgage end of it, okay?
Yeah.
People want to buy homes, but the problem is they're being priced out. I probably see, I'd say 20% of the loan applications I see, they have a second gig, whether it be DoorDash, Uber, or whatever.
Yep.
The downside to that is that when it comes to using that income to qualify you to buy a home, you got to have at least 2 years worth of tax return to count that income.
Right.
And oftentimes you might not make enough to where you're actually seeing a loss, so you're really back to square one. But I'm seeing a ton of those right now.
Yeah, it goes on to say an estimated 23 million have used platforms to earn money in the past.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, man. That gig economy is growing. This was kind of a shocking story, too. Just a couple minutes here to get to it. But trucking firm Yellow shuts down. One of the biggest, oldest trucking companies shut down operations Sunday. They laid off workers at all locations. Yellow, a 99-year-old company, cut about 33,000 jobs, 22 of which were members of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters Union.
Yeah.
But yeah,
What
it looks
was
like
the reason?
It says it's selling its logistics business to avoid bankruptcy and outstanding debt of $1.5 billion. Well, I think there's an attack on this country on, gas burning vehicles.
No.
I mean, and even in California, they say they had this new rules where you had to update your vehicles to a certain year built, etc.
Yeah, I lived in California. It was the emissions stuff there is really, really tough. It's crazy. And then they wonder why it's overtaxed and it's so expensive to live there. Well, that's part of the reason why as well.
And they were number one. I'm sorry, not number one. They were dead last. Well, number one if you look at it the other way. But we're number one in net migration, people moving to Florida, and all these people attacking DeSantis and things like that. It's just utterly ridiculous. But number 50 out of all the 50 states, dead last California. They lost, I think it was 457,000.
Yeah, and actually, you know what? If you try to get a U-Haul to actually rent to go into California, it's very inexpensive. But you're trying to get out of California, good luck with that price, man.
Yeah,
remember that a couple of years back during the pandemic and everything? It's so funny.
It's interesting though, because you look at those stories and you talk about how people vote. I mean, they vote with their wallets. They vote in all these different ways, right?
Yeah, there's only one color, man. Green. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. How do you want people to connect with you, my friend?
Yeah, it's my cell phone, which I'm available on the weekends as well, 813-300-7218. Again, 813-300-7218. Or you can email me, Robert at Fluxx. That's with two X's. Fluxx Funding.com. Robert at Fluxx Funding.com. And my NMLS, thank you, is 437134.
Very good. Very good. All right. Hey, we covered a lot of ground there. Top 11 places to live, construction to perm, rehab loans, hard money loans we didn't quite get to, but they're kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah.
When you look at down payments and risk, it comes into play. Robert Paredes, Fluxx Funding. Good stuff, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. We'll see you next time, I guess.
Yes, sir. Mike Murphy as well. Thanks to Mike Murphy and, of course, Alex, Jose, the producers behind the scenes making us look good here. We appreciate you. Please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community. And we'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.